going to get this working on YouTube. And it'll take us just a moment to get all that going. So hang tight and I'll talk to you in just a minute. I am very glad to be here. That's for sure. Let's see. I've got this. Got this. All right. How are we doing here? Let me come over here and come over here. Let's take a look over here. See what's going on YouTube. Hang on just a second. Good. That's muted. That's very nice. Let me take a look over here. Oops. Let me make sure that stays muted. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Gonna get all this. Arg. That's just fine. No. Too many things to click on. This is good. I don't want this page. I want to come over here. I would like to come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. All right. There we go. Oh, I have to scroll down a little further here. Ah, there we go. Now, okay, I'm just, for all of you here on YouTube, I'm just going to put, assuming I can type over here. Why is it not letting me type? I don't know. Well, let's try this. Don't know why it is not letting me type. Okay. Small technical issue. Let me figure it out. Let's try this and see if this works. All right. See if this works. No, it's not getting me to the chat. Let's see. It's not what I'm looking for. Really? All right. Well, I don't know why my chat in YouTube is not functional. If you are over on YouTube, would you please type something in the chat so I can see if I can at least respond to you? I see we've got a bunch of people over here on YouTube. So, okay. All right. We'll see what's going on. All right. Welcome, everybody. And we have a lot of people here. I'm so glad. We've got Carol and Beverly, and Deb is here. She said she was going to be here. And Deb, I'm so glad that you're here because I know it's been a struggle here. So, Robert was able to log on. Okay, excellent. This is great. Okay, June says the chat is live. Let me see if I can. Why can I not type in my own chat? I don't understand. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. My chat is just not working, and I don't know why. I am appropriately logged in, and I've got a chat box, but I can see your chats on YouTube, so that's fine. Okay, we'll just have to figure out why I can't type in. I don't know. Click the live chat button. Yeah, done that. Definitely done that. So yeah, so at least I can see everything, but I don't know quite why it's given me the nice little box to type in and it's not working for me. So not quite sure. There's always something, but okay. All right. No problem. Well, okay. Wisconsin, Mary's in Wisconsin, and we've got some New York people. We've got lots of people here. So I am so glad to see you. And so let me officially welcome you. I'm going to just get a little bit better centered here, and I'm going to spotlight my video so you can find it because we've got a bunch of people here on the call. So I am thrilled that you're all here. And you can see I turned myself around here. So I'm in my usual room, but I'm just facing the other direction. And so I'm chilling out here with my nice little candle, which smells really good. I've got my little plant here. And my poor spider plant had a rough life a couple years ago, and he's been coming back really nicely. So I say nice things to him all the time. So Janet's in Alberta, and we've got Sylvia here. We've got, lots of people here. This is great. Oh, Janet, there we go. Lori's here. And nice, very nice. So thank you all for being here. As promised, I will not take up more of your time than we absolutely need to get everything covered. So I'm hoping that you all got the PDF and were able to get that. It was in the email, so I think you should have it. And that's one of the things I was hoping to pop over into YouTube and type into the chat, but it's just not happening. So something else that I'll have to figure out for sure. Okay, so let's talk about I already took care of the number lock thing. I already did the num log thing and got rid of that. That didn't seem to make a difference. So I'm just not, it's not typing. So I appreciate all the help. Oh, Lisa's in a hotel room in Charlotte. Okay. All right. Okay. Excellent. Well, let's get started and let's get ready to really just kind of fit with our theme here for this evening. I want to think about really just relaxing. So if you're wherever it is that you're sitting, wherever it is that you happen to be, think about just sitting straight the way you would at your heart, right? We do this in our Facebook Lives all the time. We talk about sitting on your sit bones, right? And just really sitting there on the bench with your feet on the floor or on the pedals, if that's your harp, right? But having just that grounding, that being able to just sit and feel totally centered, totally straight, line up over your sit bones, and just breathe for a moment. If you had a day like mine, you had a nice long day. So, oh, good. Welcome, Phyllis. Phyllis is over on YouTube. So, I had a nice long day. It was a good day, but it was long and it was filled with plenty of good things. And so I'm just happy to take this time to just sit and relax. Wow. All right. So what we're going to do this evening is talk about the kind of pressures specifically that happen at this time of year. I mean, there's not much I can do about the Christmas cards and the presents and the decorations and the parties and all the fun stuff that go with the holidays. That's just part of the rush of all of it, and it's fun. But trying to keep up with your harp playing at the same time, not quite so much fun. And it's really difficult to think about how you're going to balance everything, even if you've gotten into a great routine and you've got your practice plans down and you're organized about your practice. You've got all this stuff. It can be very hard with everything else that goes into the holidays to actually hang on to that. And yet, this is often the time when we really wish that we had more time to practice. I know it's been slow the last couple of years. That first COVID Christmas was really tough, right? And there weren't performances. There wasn't a lot of live music. And I know the things that I had on the books from earlier, planned from the year before even, just didn't happen. And so even last year was a little bit iffy. This year, things are a little bit lighter, and you might have more playing that you're planning to do. Maybe just for a party, or maybe you're playing at the nursing homes, or playing performances of any kind, maybe churches or, there's so much going on. And we talk a lot at Harp Mastery about all this, about action, right? We talk a lot about getting things done and meeting goals and moving forward and all that kind of good stuff. Well, this might not be the time for that. This is a great time to let all that preparation work for you. You remember we started Christmas in July, right? Even at the end of June, we started Christmas in July. We were a little bit early with that. So, and that was great. Maybe you started your Christmas music then and you got such a really good handle on it. And maybe right now you're thinking, I don't want to play these pieces one more day. And I've still got 3 weeks maybe before I have to play it, or maybe 4, who knows? So you might have just too much music that you still need to prepare and not enough time to do it. Or perhaps you just have a lot of music you're trying to keep in your fingers and not enough practice time. Or maybe those pieces that you thought you were going to have ready this year just aren't ready. So those are going to be the 3 big topics. There we go. So there, maybe those are going to be the 3 big topics that we talk about in terms of crushing the rush. So I love that comment, Ellie. That's great. So what we're going to do is really just sort of talk about this kind of stuff, but and I'm going to give you some really specific solutions that are pretty simple, in some cases, almost ridiculously simple, but they'll give you some ideas. Maybe they'll give you permission to actually do what you need to do to stay connected to the harp over this time of year, to get everything that you want to play in progress and ready to play, but not to feel overwhelmed, not to feel like you have to stay up till midnight practicing. Maybe they're kind of person that likes to do that anyway. I'm not. I'm a morning person. So, but maybe if you're the type that likes to stay up late and practice, good for you. But don't feel you have to lose sleep just to get your pieces ready, because we're going to talk about other ways to do it that are much more fun and much better for you. So before we get started, I'd love it if you would just take a moment and type in the chat, just briefly, if you like, what your biggest holiday harp crunch is right now. Is it a piece that you can't finish? Is it one measure or one part of that piece that won't come together? Oh, the Rudder Dancing Day. That is a hard work, Janelle. I have played Rudder Dancing Day many times. Are you doing the whole suite or just the Dancing Day piece of it? Because Dancing Day, they do as a separate piece, but Dancing Day is the entire work, the whole, 10 movement or whatever it is, 8 movement work. And it's difficult. It's difficult. So I think it's harder than the Ceremony of Carols, but just my own opinion. Okay, Monique says a recording I needed to submit on a collab. Ooh, okay, all right. Well, then that's something. You're doing most of the Dancing Day, just not the easy movements. Oh, of course, not the easy movements. Well, okay. Is anybody feeling harp pressure yet, or not so much yet? Let me see. Gaining the confidence to play my double strung harp for Advent services as improv pieces. Ooh, that sounds like a great thing, Karen. And we can certainly talk about that. Robert says, my very first performance playing the harp ever, not solo, with my harp circle. Ooh, big one. Love it. Carol says, keeping too much music ready to go. Yep, been there, done that. Donna, maintaining focus on the harp. You're in 10 places at one time. Yes. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit too. Janet, 2 lines of a piece with multiple lever changes. Well, we'll see what we can do about that. Lindsay says, I wanted to learn the Skater's Waltz, but the lever changes were too much. Oof. All right. Jill is still waiting for music from the church that she's going to be playing. Oh, that's so hard when you're just like, okay, I need it now. Getting ready for the church cantata. Wonderful. Okay, so these are some of the, playing two pieces in church for Christmas with confidence and ease. Well, it sounds like a great goal, Donita. I love that one. Shannon is saying the first time playing the harp and singing at the same time. Ooh, that's a big one. Big one. Elise, oh, wait, I have to go back just a little bit because Jane says she's lots of visiting family interfering with practice time. Yeah. Well, you know what? The family's worth it though, right? So we'll have to figure out how to do the practice time around that. Elise says, did you know, Elise, that's beautiful. That's my middle name, spelled exactly that way, Elyse. So fun to see. Try to figure out what to play for a Christmas Eve service, trying to find new arrangements. Okay, it's probably time to make that decision, isn't it? Lori says, playing in the UK harp ensemble twice and playing outside the church gift shop. Ooh, Janet is going to be playing in front of people after COVID. You know, I found that when I got back to playing live, I had to sort of get that mindset back. I had to refresh my skill set in that area. So it really is a funny thing. So I can appreciate that. Sylvia says, playing before my small group on this Saturday morning for the first time. Congratulations. June is saying my second Christmas with my harp. So I have a lot of music I accumulated last year that you were ambitious to play and couldn't. And now I have to be selective with what I can really play. Good going. Kathleen, two very sore thumbs that hurt when you play the harp. Oh, are they sore from playing, or are they sore like joint sore, or just sore at the tips? I was giving some people I was giving a young person some advice about blisters the other day. So, but, playing a lot can actually, make your fingers sore, right? So we could talk a little bit about that too. All right, well, let's get started. If you have that PDF in front of you, these are all blanks and we're going to fill them in. Now, I've put them in categories, but you might very well find that some of the things we're going to talk about work equally well for your particular problem or your particular harp stress factor here. Oh, she says she cut them on the top, chopping vegetables. Oh, Kathleen. Ooh. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Well, gosh. All right. Time to get kitchen help. She's saying, yes, I know. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So let's dive into Cuisinart. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You put the vegetables in and, ooh, okay. Lots of things. Ugh, I know. And, Thanksgiving, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. Lots of things to chop and prepare. Okay. Absolutely. New skin is always a good solution, Janelle. So, there you go. Angela's saying, my husband bought me Kevlar gloves so I wouldn't cut my fingers. Perfect. Got lots of people jumping in here. Paper tape is excellent. Yeah, because it stays on your fingers. So paper tape is very good for you. Okay, so let's talk about this. So on your PDF, first thing here, your piece needs to be ready and it isn't. What can you do? Well, I've got 5 little cues here for you, right? Replace, repeat, simplify, swap, and rethink. So some of the comments that we've had, you'll understand right away how these things can apply to that. So first of all, replace. Let's think about what you might want to replace if your piece needs to be ready and it isn't. There are a couple things you can do. One of them is the one I don't want you to do. One of them is I don't want you to keep practicing, slaving away at something that either you don't have time for, or you find too frustrating, or you don't want to make time for, or it's just not worth it. This came up on our My Heart Mastery call last night in a totally different context. But sometimes, the piece that you're playing or the place that you're playing doesn't require you to struggle quite so hard. So let's look at some of the possible alternatives you can have to slaving away over that one passage and then gritting your teeth because it still doesn't work. So replace. Well, If it's a particular passage in the piece that is just giving you conniptions, as they used to say, replace it. Find a similar spot from another verse and swap it out, right? You don't have to, that's the nice thing about Christmas stuff. There are lots of verses, right? So if you're playing Greensleeves and you've got the first verse is great and the second verse is great and the third verse is harder, but it's okay except for these 4 measures, take those 4 measures from another verse in the piece, swap them in. Nobody's going to know but you, but it's just I can hear you already just saying, it just feels like, okay, yes. You don't have to play the hard ones. There's almost never a reason to suffer quite that much, right? When you could make a quick and easy substitution or repeat. If it's an entire verse, that third verse of Greensleeves is too hard, repeat one of the other ones. Go back and play the first verse again, right? You still have 3 verses of Greensleeves, but perhaps you don't, you don't need that really hard verse. I know it's really nice. I know you want to be able to do it, but you probably want to visit with your family and bake cookies too. And you probably don't want those little worry lines in your forehead, like me right now, those worry lines in your forehead, or those, right. The clenching teeth right. You want to be relaxed. Angela is saying, I wonder if Mary could have fewer than 7 joys. Well, yes. I think she can still have 7 joys, but they can be really related, right? So I know when I wrote my little arrangement of the 7 joys of Mary last year or the year before, I was working so hard to make every verse different. But you know what? If you were just singing that carol in church, the accompaniment for each of those joys would probably be the same, right? Think about what organists usually do when they accompany hymns, right? If there are 7 verses, 6 of them are all the same and the 7th one gets fancy. So that's the one she's working on. Oh, yes. Okay. Well, swap them out. It will not bother me. And that was my arrangement, right? So swap them out. Do an easier one. It's like, I like this one and I like this one and I like this one. There's no reason that the 7 joys of Mary has to be the 7 anxieties of Angela, right? So you can absolutely swap them out. All right. So, but swap is a different word. We'll get to that in a second, but just repeat an easier one. Next word was simplify. Okay, what can you do to simplify that part that isn't working? Well, you could just play one hand. You could leave out notes. You could, and this goes back, I think it might have been Lindsay that said this, I don't remember. It was somebody, who was it? You can edit the piece so that it doesn't have so many lever or pedal changes. See if you can take out those notes or some of those notes that you have to change levers or pedals for, and see what you can do. Because there are plenty of creative ways to get around this. So feel free, right? And absolutely edit. It's much better to feel confident. That word came up a couple times in the comments here. It is much better to feel confident and, relaxed about your playing than it is to try to struggle to get every single note that's written on the page. All right, swap. You know what? I was talking about swapping out parts of verses, but you could still swap out your piece. Okay, maybe not so much Janelle with Dancing Day because the choir's counting on her, but you can absolutely swap out a piece that you're playing solo. It's like, you know what? I really wanted to play Greensleeves, but it's going to be much easier for me to play Little Drummer Boy. I'm just making things up here, right? So, swap out the piece or swap out the arrangement. Do you have to play the really hard arrangement of Greensleeves? No, play an easier arrangement. Right? Even Sylvia Woods has those 2 arrangements of every Christmas carol in her book, right? There's the A version, which is easier, and the B version, which is a little bit more challenging. you are probably the only one that is going to be at all concerned that you're playing the A version and not the B version. So right now, November 22nd, there's still plenty of time, I'm sure, before you have to play this piece. Swap out the arrangement now, or swap out the piece now. There's still plenty of time to get the one you can play ready and polished. And then you just don't have to sweat it. And the last one here, I like this one. This is one of my favorites. Rethink what ready means, right? We're talking about your piece needing to be ready. Well, what does ready really mean? Does it have to be at the tempo that's printed on the page? Once again, for Janelle with Dancing Day, because it's a piece with choir and whoever else was talking about the Christmas cantata, some of those tempos may not be under your control. There are other things you can do, but you have fewer choices because it's an accompaniment kind of a part and people are relying on you. But think about what ready really means. Could you do your piece a little bit slower? Could you make it shorter? Could you, I don't know, could you do a simpler arrangement? There's something else. But what does ready really mean? Does it have to be so fast? Does it have to be so long? Does it have to be so hard? The answer to all those questions is probably no. And guess what? You get to make those choices. So there are 5 easy possibilities there for helping your piece get ready, even if you feel like it's not going to be ready yet, right? We talked about replace a difficult passage with an easier one. You could replace an entire verse if you need to, no problem. You could repeat an earlier verse. Aha. You could simplify the part that you're having trouble with. And this could be for an entire piece. If a piece has a left hand pattern that is just too hard and you can figure out an easy way to simplify it and then it comes together, do it. Absolutely do it. And then you can swap out the piece or the arrangement for an easier one, or just rethink what your goal is really going to be for the piece. All of these things are valid. I mean, granted, we want Mary to have 7 joys, but she could have that first verse 7 times. And that could make Angela very joyful. So that would go along very well. So, that would work. I approve. Anyway, and that was my arrangement she was working on. So let's go on to part 2. This is if you don't have enough. Angela gives me a thumbs up. Good. I'm trying to be really intentional about reading the comments here so that the people who are on YouTube can be sure that they're not missing anything. So, okay. Part 2, you don't have enough practice time. Arg, not enough practice time? Well, we're going to have to make choices. And remember, it's okay. If you aren't practicing the amount of time you usually practice, you're allowed to have a life. You're allowed to spend time with family. You're allowed to shop and decorate and bake and Christmas carol and all those fun things we like to do in the holidays. You're allowed. Now, please understand that I'm telling you this. I'm not always expert at following my own advice in this regard, but I know that it's true. And even if I don't always do a very good job at having a life, you guys can do better. Although I have to say this year, we will be sending out Christmas cards again. Last year we didn't, but I actually have my Christmas cards. I'm so excited. So, we'll get and the year before, I don't think we got them out till after New Year's, or maybe that was last year. Last year was really late. We're going to be on time this year. So, I'm working at having a life. But that doesn't mean probably that you need to stop practicing either. After all, even if you don't have something specific or special that you're playing this holiday season, you want to stay connected to your harp. And after all, it's Christmas. So what better season to play the harp, right? I mean, the harp is so perfect for Christmas. We give Easter to the trumpets, but we own Christmas. The season of peace needs harp music. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I don't think so. So you want to stay connected to the harp and you want to keep playing it. Who is this? Carol says, I told my grown-up granddaughter that I would bake cookies with her, but she's in charge this year. There you go. Okay. But, that's the way to do it. You can delegate and participate, both of those things. I love it. So let's talk about what these little words mean. I've got 5 words on my sheet: triage, alternate, streamline, schedule, and front load. Okay. So triage. Triage, in a medical setting, right? Triage is taking those most urgent cases first. That's a very simplistic view of the situation, of the actual thing, but you have to go with me here. And that's what you might need to do. If you, Lori says, that's why there's so many harp Christmas ornaments. It's the season of harp music. Exactly. All right. So, if you have music that has to be ready, you may very well have to prioritize that. And that's really what I mean by triage here. We're prioritizing the piece or the part of the piece that you absolutely must practice. So for Janelle with Dancing Day, I mean, actually, a lot of Dancing Day is really difficult, but there are definitely parts of it that you absolutely need to keep practicing, and the rest of it, not quite so hard. You don't have to practice. And with just about any piece that we're playing, whether it's a holiday piece or not, there are the parts that need a lot of playing and need constant reminding, right? And others that you can just sort of let go. It's like, okay, if I do this once a day, that's fine. But I need to spend 15 minutes drilling this particular spot. So if you need to prioritize that way, then figure out exactly what it is you absolutely must get done. Cull that list just a little bit and make sure that those passages or pieces that you absolutely must work on is something you do at the beginning of your day. Even if it's 15, 20 minutes in the morning, cup of coffee in your hand at the harp, do your 15, 20 minutes. And then if you don't get to anything else on the harp for the rest of the day, you will have done the stuff you absolutely needed to do. So this may not be a plan you need for every day, but you may know that there's a week coming up when you're going to be supremely busy and you can't get away from the harp because you have to have these pieces still ready. And the triage plan, setting up the triage plan and following through on it, is going to be extremely helpful. This is one that I use all the time. When I'm looking at a day when I'm teaching all day, maybe a rehearsal in the morning, maybe a rehearsal in the evening, and there's, my practice time is a little bit here and a little bit there. That's what I'm doing, triaging and just prioritizing what needs to be done and doing it. All right. Alternate. You can alternate days where you practice on one day and then just play through things the next day. And you can save on your practice time by dividing the pieces that you need to do into 2 groups. And you put some pieces in group A and you put some pieces in group B, and you want to make them approximately equal. And then on Monday, for instance, you practice the group A pieces and just play through the group B pieces. And then on Tuesday, you do the other way around and you really practice the group B pieces and just play through the group A pieces, so that you're cutting down on the amount of practice time you need each day, but you're still getting to everything and touching everything every day. This can be a very powerful way to stay connected to everything. So when you've got a lot of pieces that you need to keep under your fingers and you don't have enough time to practice everything, that can be a great way to do it. Third one, streamline. Okay, let's create a system that streamlines your practice. So let me make sure I do this right. What you might do is start by listing all the spots that are really, oh, Faye likes the idea of groups. Yeah. List all the spots, those things in your pieces that, okay, I need to work on, letter C in this piece and measure 14 in this piece and the third verse of this piece. So list those spots and do each spot 5 times. Boom. Then put each spot in its context in the piece. So if you were working on letter C, connect it to letter B and letter D and play through that spot 3 times. Then play the whole piece. So what this system does is help you, it helps prevent you from spending too long on one piece and condenses your practice time. I'm going to do the spot 5 times. I'm going to do it in context 3 times. I'm going to play the whole piece once. And you can do that for each piece. Or you can combine it with what we just talked about with alternating, so that the things that you're practicing on the day, you're practicing group A today, this is how you practice group A. We're streamlining the practice. So you're going to do your spots, you're going to 5 times, you're going to put it in context, play it 3 times, play the whole piece once. And that's how you're going to practice your group A pieces. I'm almost certain it's going to be a shorter practice time for you and pretty effective too, but it's going to be shorter probably than what you're used to doing. So it's streamlining that way. So another good practice system for when you have limited time. Schedule. What gets scheduled gets done is what they say, right? So look at your schedule, and you can look at your schedule from now all the way until New Year's if you want. Look at your schedule and find 30 minutes. Okay, you might want to say 20 minutes. You might want to say 40 minutes or an hour, but you get to choose, right? But find 30 minutes that you can do almost every day. Is that 30 minutes after you do the dinner dishes before you watch television? Is that 30 minutes right after breakfast? Is that 30 minutes at lunchtime? Whatever that, or that 30 minutes right when you get home from work? That's a hard one. But, find that time chunk that works for you, schedule it, write it in whatever kind of a planner you use, and then stick to it. Just having that practice time in your calendar will help you say, oh, yeah, okay, so we want to go shopping in the morning. Well, I can't go until 10 o'clock because my practice time is from 9:30 to 10. Okay, having it in your schedule will help you plan and be more focused on actually getting your practice done. Okay. And then this one is one of my favorites, the last one on this list: front load your practice. If you've got a lot of practice you need to do, what you might want to do is really just put your head down and do a lot of practice this week or next week. But, if your performing is coming up later in December, put a ton of practice in now so that you're really working through all those trouble spots. You're making those decisions like we just talked about, swapping out verses or pieces or whatever it is you're going to do. Working on your improv or, getting everything done. Do the hard practice now so that you can ease up and kind of skate through those next couple weeks, because you will have put in the hardest work early. Kind of like eating your vegetables first, kind of, but you're really going to do some concentrated work now. If you had the time and the energy and the desire, if this sounds like something you want to do, and you usually do an hour practice a day, make it an hour and a half of practice. or double up on it, whatever it is. Don't hurt yourself. Don't work super hard. It's still nice, relaxed, calm practice, but put in the extra practice now so that you don't have to be trying to cram it later. That's all. Front load it. All right. Now, do any of those tips sound like they might help you as you're thinking about it, either to prioritize it or what Faye liked, to think about alternating it and working it in groups? Oh, Janet says the stress is disappearing. Good. I have my beautiful scented candle. So I couldn't feel stressed if I tried right now. So, or to streamline that system, right? Where you're doing the spots 5 times, the context 3 times, the whole piece once, boom. If you don't need to, if there's a piece without spots in it, just play the whole piece twice or once, if that's all you need. Don't practice anything that doesn't need practice, right? We're not trying to make work for ourselves. We're trying to just make sure we have things comfortable. Okay, you love the practice play in the group A, B. You like the streamline, says Lori. Okay. Danita says all of these tips are applicable for her. Lori loves the group idea, the spots idea especially. Elise likes the streamline and the schedule. Okay, good. All right. Well, so let's keep moving on and let's see if any of these are helpful. So our third category here is you need to keep a lot of music fresh, a lot of things in your fingers. And of course, we're not adding extra practice time probably, right? So we've got a lot of music to keep going. And this is one of those times of years, it's like you've got I know on my stand right now, I've got 2 flute and harp programs, a school program, the Nutcracker, a couple church programs, all this kind of stuff, right? So, Cindy says, I want to play the harp more, but I have a ton of piano practicing for accompanying choir. I'm glad to consider this. Yeah, okay. Well, so because you might find exactly the same thing, because when you're accompanying a choir, you have many of these same choices, right? Not every note needs to be played. And I know, Cindy, you're experienced at this enough that you're going to know that, okay, yeah, I don't have to play all of those notes. This is what the choir needs to hear. And I can make choices this way. So you can still do many of the choices that we talked about right up front. And the scheduling stuff that we talked about also is applicable, right? And maybe that'll give you a little bit of time to play the harp. Who knows? But what you could do is use all these tricks for your piano practice, and then see if you can add in 10 minutes of just playing the harp just for you, right? Okay, and we'll talk actually a little bit about something like that when we get through these next tips, but let's do this. All right, you have a lot of music. You need to play these things. Robert has 13 pieces for an hour gig. All right, yeah, that's a lot of music. Well, you've got to start out by organizing, right? So we have, what are our 5 things here? Organize, divide, rotate, eat the frog, and trust. Okay. This is where the preparation, I was going to say the rubber meets the road, but this is where, this is crunch time for your preparation, right? You just have to have these pieces ready. So it's always a good idea to just start with some organization. This goes along with the other things we've been talking about. Which pieces just need playing and which actually need more work, which have spots that you have to practice. But of those 13 pieces, Robert, just since you put those in front of me here, of those 13 pieces, probably there are a number of them that if you just played them once a day, they'd still be okay. And maybe even if you played them once every other day, they'd be all right. So you might, now there are a lot of ways to organize this. You can just write a list. You can make lists like we were talking about a moment ago, but maybe you want like an A list, a B list, and a C list, where the A list is pieces that really still need practicing. And the B list is pieces that are pretty much okay. You just want to be sure that you play them every day and they maybe have a spot or two in them. And then the C list of pieces that are really all right. And if you play them every other day or just even twice a week, they're going to be fine, right? So we want a lot of pieces in your C list, a few pieces in your B list, and not quite so much in your A list, because that's where the work is going to be. But if you can organize them and sort of categorize them that way, it can be really helpful, because then you know you can just even check them off, right? Say, okay, let's see, I did these 2 C pieces today, I did this B piece today, and this A piece. And you can sort of check them off. If you could color code them, you could spreadsheet them, whatever kind of, organizational stuff that you like. But the lists are really helpful, because then the music's not just in a pile or in a binder and you're turning them over all the time, but you're really being a little bit more intentional about, okay, these things, if I play them twice a week, I'm good. These have spots I need to work on. These need a little bit more work, and it will help show you exactly what kind of a burden you have in front of you. If you've got a lot of pieces in that A list that I really need to practice this list, you might want to go back and maybe do some swapping, right? You could do that, or do any of the techniques that we talked about up in this first section, right? Make those pieces ready with some judicious editing or with some careful repeats or something. So the organization is really helpful. It's a great place to start. But then we can divide. And this is very much like the alternating we were talking about a second ago. Put them in different lists if we're not worried about, the different practice things, or even if we are, and I'll show you how this works too. You can practice half of your pieces one day, half of your pieces the next day, or divide them in thirds if you want, and just rotate them this way. Okay, this is my, my first half. This is my second half. And if you combine this with the list I was talking about just a second ago, the A pieces need more practice, the B pieces not so much, and the C pieces very little practice. Divide your repertoire into 2 lists that have each about an equivalent amount of work. So some A pieces, some B pieces, and some C pieces in each of those lists, and then rotate those, right? Alternate those day by day. So you're doing your list, your first half list and your second half list. And each of those has pieces that you've got to work on and just spot check and then not play so much. So that kind of divide and conquer is a good strategy. The rotation process, a little bit simpler. Really, all you need to do is just make sure that you've got that you're practicing the pieces that you need to do and getting everything done. So this is exactly the opposite of what I was just talking about. Put your pieces in a pile on your music stand. Start with the one on the top, turn it over. Do the next one, turn it over. Do the next one, turn it over. And when you're out of practice time, you stop. And when you come back to the next day, you start where you left off and you practice that one, practice that one, practice that one. So you can absolutely just put them in the pile, turn them over. You can rotate them so that you're playing your pieces for, one day, playing them the next day, and just checking them on the third day. You could play them every other day if that's all they need and that's all you need. Or just checking you can play them one day, just check spots the next day. But whatever, and you could do that for 3 days, right? Do spots on Monday, spots on Tuesday, play everything Wednesday. And this will help you, it's a few different ways of actually combining your music and getting through it all. And depending on what your music is and how prepared it is, how comfortable you are with it, one of these will work better for you than another. And that brings us down to Eat the Frog. Okay. Eat the Frog is, it's a book, actually, a book by Brian Tracy. is where I first came up with first heard that expression, eat the frog. But the thing is, it's kind of like eating your vegetables first. That is assuming that you don't like vegetables. It's just doing the hardest thing first. And so you're going to practice or play, whatever it is you need to do, the piece that that either needs the most work or that you like the least. Do that first. Just get that one done. And do that one every day if it needs that much practice, but just do that first. And after that, everything else will seem easier. It makes it easier to get to everything else because you're not dreading that hard one, right? And this is a great one too, where if you're just really bored with practicing this holiday music, you've been doing it for too long, then do the thing that's most boring first and do it at half tempo one time. Half tempo is really great because it lets you refresh everything and you can just do it. It's nice and calm. You refresh it and then you just put it away. But do that hardest thing first. Let me see. What does Lori say here? She says she had a seminar at work about eat the frog. Oh, and they all got frog gummies. Well, that would be tasty. I would like those kinds of frogs. But, just getting that hardest thing out of the way, getting it done first. And maybe that's how you want to spend your 15 minutes of practice in the morning, doing the thing that you know you need to do and you don't really want to do that first. And then later in the day, you get to play whatever else you want. Everything else you want to play seems easier, right? Okay. The last one is trust. Just trust your practice. You've been doing all this practice for weeks, months, whatever, right? You've been doing the work. Trust that it's going to pay off for you. It will. Trust the process. This is not the time to panic, right? Get your system in place from now until your performances are over, or from now until the end of the year, whatever you want to do. Get those systems in place and then just trust that they're going to work for you. I think that one of the ways we sabotage ourselves often is by panicking as a performance gets close. If you've been doing your work all along, there's no need to panic. And if there's a part that still isn't coming together, I refer you back to the top of this page. Make some changes. Make it work for you. You don't have to struggle through it. You don't have to panic. It's no fun to do that, right? Trust your practice and just let it happen. Okay. Now, I have a few other things to share, just a couple quick bonus tips. Remember, one of these is, it's always good to just remember that you have a life and participate in it. And not so that, because your life is going to keep you from freaking out about your playing if you're the sort of person or facing the kind of thing that might freak you out. But as a part of that, stay connected to the harp for all the right reasons. Be sure you're playing something that you love every day. If I could give you an assignment, that would be it. Play something that you love every day. I would hope that you're doing that already, or maybe your practice is just so much fun and so absorbing that it all feels like stuff that you love, and that's great too. But just to think that you can calm all that frenzy and play some music that you like, your favorite Christmas carol or your favorite non-Christmas piece, just for a little break maybe. Think about how you're sitting. Remember to breathe. I would highly recommend that when you first sit down at your harp, you don't dive into playing. You don't even dive right into your warm-up, but you take some time, the way we often do on the Facebook Lives. You take some time to be sure you're sitting straight, sitting over those sit bones, breathing properly, supporting with your core muscles, right? And then think about how you bring your hands up to the harp without raising your shoulders. We talk about it on the Facebook Lives. We talk about it as sleepwalker arms. I don't have enough room to do it here, but sleepwalker arms, right? Where you raise your entire arm up, but keep your shoulder down. And then without raising your shoulders, bring your hands back to the harp and get ready to play. That'll help keep your shoulders relaxed and down. Okay, let's see. Beverly says, sometimes I play something before my practice that I know just to give me confidence. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Why not start your day with something that you know and something that you like? That's a great way to start your practice. But I left myself a note that I do not understand, so that's okay. But do take care of yourself. This is the time of year when that's really, really important. So, and I'm almost out of time here because I told you I would just take an hour. I do want to tell you, though, my Heart Mastery members, we have something very special coming up for our December theme. I have written a new arrangement. It's meditation on Silent Night, and it's very pretty, if I do say so myself. And there's an original little tune, and then that kind of is a little sandwich for Silent Night, which is in the middle. And we're going to be working on that, and we're going to be working on it. I have 12 days, just like our 12 days of harp happiness. I have 12 days of little prompts to help you learn this piece. So we're going to be working on that nice and slowly, and it's a nice slow piece, so we'll be able to enjoy that. But that's going to be what we're working on next month. And Stephanie says she enjoys my pretty arrangements. So yeah, I think it's a pretty nice one. I'm pleased with it, and I hope that everybody else likes it too. But I also, if you are not a My Heart Mastery member at this point, we'll have some. I'll have an invitation for you to join us on that as well. So you'll be hearing about that in the next newsletter, or maybe even in the replay email for this. We'll see how quickly we get that going. Oh, Angela says, I've been wanting to find a really pretty arrangement of Silent Night. Well, I hope you think this fits the bill, Angela, because I'm pretty happy with it. So we're going to be working on that in My Heart Mastery. As I said, I've got an invitation for those of you who aren't My Heart Mastery members to be able to join us for this as well. So we'll be working on that, and I'll be letting you know all the details. So My Heart Mastery people, if you see this, you see me talking about this opportunity, remember that it's yours already. It's in the membership. We're working on the meditation on Silent Night. So, and I think you'll like it. I'm happy with it. So that's what I had to share with you. I hope you were able to take some things away from this. Do you have any questions? Anybody have any questions about this before we go? Oh, Karen says, thank you for taking the time to encourage us in our harp trials and tribulations. Oh, well, I hope someplace along the trials and tribulations, there's also some fun and some beautiful music, because, why else would you want to play the harp, right? I know it's hard work, but, Carol said, what a great webinar. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. So it was my pleasure to be here and to share this with you. Have any questions? You can always, I was going to say, the easy place to ask follow-up questions to this webinar should be over on YouTube. So, because we should be able to carry on the conversation there, but like Rebecca, she says, thank you for helping us to sort out our stuff. Hang on here. Wait a second. Wait. Mary says, do non-Heart Mastery members have to buy the music for it? No, the music will come with the invitation, I promise. So I think that we're going to have a way for you to get sort of a temporary My Heart Mastery membership, and you'll get all the goodies that are going to come with it. So So we'll be working that out. Sensible suggestions. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, you're welcome, Phyllis. Okay. Carol's going to the harp now. I like that one even better. Okay, good. Janelle says, I delight in learning how others think about learning music too. Well, thank you, Janelle. I'm so appreciate that you were here, and good luck with the rudder. So Janet says, oh, Kathy, you're welcome. Janet says, I think some of these ideas will help with my piece. Simplify and replace, maybe replace a section. Absolutely. Don't be shy about that, right? Sylvia says, thank you. You're welcome. Sylvia, you're welcome. Ellie. Cindy loves the rudder. Yeah, it's a great one. Oh, you're very welcome, Jill. I like Lee. She says, what's on my list gets done. Excellent. I love that. Well, I am going to say goodnight to you all. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for following along. And I'm looking forward to our 12 Days of Harp Happiness in the My Harp Mastery group. And we'll be getting all the details. For those of you who aren't in My Harp Mastery at this point, we'll tell you how to join us. Okay. Yes, Janet, happy Thanksgiving to you too. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy it. I can guarantee you that I will be practicing on Thanksgiving, but I'm also going to have a really fun Thanksgiving. Can I send the replay to a friend who was teaching tonight? Yes, Cindy, absolutely. You can just forward the replay email, or you can send them over to the YouTube channel because it's posted on YouTube. So both of those ways will work. So, okay, that would be great. I appreciate your asking. This doesn't have to be proprietary information. I mean, I know it's just between you and me here, but really, I'm all about spreading the harp happiness. So let's get that going. But thank you for asking, and it should be easy to get pass along that replay email, or just get it from YouTube. So. Excellent. All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a great evening. Levon, you are so welcome. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate all of you. All right. Thank you for being